Hi, in this tutorial, I'll talk about how to create a code base or project for AEM. So there are two options to create project. One is Gradle, another one is Maven. So Maven is more mature archetype to create project for AEM. So in this tutorial, we'll talk about in detail. So there are two prerequisites to create and build project. One is Java. You must have Java 11 and you have a Maven installed on your machine, 3.8 or upper version. So before we move on, you must have a question, what is Maven and why Maven archetype? So let's say you can create a project by your own manually, but you have to maintain lot of stuff together and it will take a lot of effort, and that is just to set up a project. So instead of doing it manually, this Adobe provide a archetype, Maven archetype. That is basically, you can understand that as a template where you can create a AEM project just by running some Maven commands. So this AEM Maven archetype is maintained by Adobe and they keep updating this archetype time to time as and when new features to be added in AEM project. So they keep updating it. So if you don't know about Maven, so Maven repository contain thousands of archetype. Each archetype is specific for a particular technology to create a project. The same repository contain a Maven archetype to create AEM project. So you can assume this Maven archetype as a template that create a minimal best practice based Adobe Experience Manager project as a starting point of your website. Now just few commands you can create an entire project, and just you need to write your own code, means your website or your project specific code. So to create a project, you have to execute this archetype with your specific commands, means project specific information. So whenever you execute any archetype first, or whenever you execute any Maven command, you have to say, okay, this is Maven. So that tells MV and Maven, and then you define your archetype. Then you have some archetype specific properties which define what archetype you are going to execute. Means your local Maven download that archetype from Maven repository. We'll see that and demo, don't worry about it. So there are few archetype specific information you have to provide. So if you see here in first three lines, this says what is the archetype and what is the version of it. Whatever you define here, that archetype will be used to create your project. Now after this information, you have to provide your project specific information to create AEM project. There are three properties which are mandatory. You have to provide. If you don't provide, you will get an error while creating that project. So that is appTitle, appId and groupId. These are required and mandatory. So you have to provide this. What is the title? You will see this title or many places. We'll show you after this demo. And then what is the appId and the group. Basically this group is also used for your package as well. Now these three properties are enough. There are number of other properties. You can please go back and check the official documentation. I'll talk about few here. Rest of the properties you can either define or they take their own default value. These properties has default value. Let's say if you do not define artifact ID, it will take that value from appId, means this ID, it will take value here, right? Package, whatever the package name you define, if you don't define, it will take the value from here. Versions, you can define version, but if you do not define, it will take a default version called 1.0-snapshot. This is important. aemVersion. Here this property define what kind of project you want to create, because nowadays there are two versions, means standalone or cloud. So you can define either cloud or aemVersion. If you do not define this is also have a default value. If you don't define this, it will create a project for cloud, AEM as a cloud service, right? SDK, if you want to define this, you have to define what is the SDK in case of cloud. If you leave it blank or if you don't define this property, it will take the latest version. Front-end module, this is important these days. There are three things you can create. Either you can define general or none. If you don't define, it will take general. What do you mean by general? It will create a normal web project. We'll see that, okay? Or if you want to define or if you want to create a project as a SPA, single page application. So there's two options available. Either you can create a single page application using Angular technology or React. So whatever you want to create, whatever the project you want to create for a specific SPA, you have to define. Let's say if you want to create SPA using React, so you have to say React. Front end module is React. Language and country. So by default, when you create a project, you create a project for one country and one language. You can create a multi-language or multinational project as well. You have heard about MSM. If you did not, you will see in coming tutorial. So these values, these are the default values you can define. So if you don't define this, it will take country as a US and language is a EN. If you define your own values, let's say you want to create a default site for India, you can say IN and the language, right? If you want to define a multi-country project, means then you have to say single country is a no. By default, it's yes. If you want to include dispatcher configuration, say yes. By default is a yes. You can say no, so it will not create dispatcher configuration. There are other options as well. You can please go back and check the official documentation. I will leave the link in the description of this tutorial. Current version as of now when I'm recording this tutorial is 40. Please use the latest version and check the properties if new properties has been added. There's a one thing you say here, -b. What does that mean? It say the batch. If you say -b, whatever the properties you gave, it will create your project using those properties, or if you do not define, it will take default properties. If you don't define here, this is not specific to AEM project. This is specific for Maven. So it will create your project in an iterative way, interactive way, right? Whenever it will say, okay, this is the value you want to use this. If you say yes, it will use that. We'll see that. Okay, as I said in previous tutorial, there are two types of project you can create. So let me explain that in detail. You can create project as a AEM, as a cloud service, or you can create standalone, right? So in this also you can have two variations. In each you have two variations. You can have standard or web project, or you can have SPA kind of project. Okay, inside SPA again you can have two kind of projects. One is React, one is Angular. So these are the combination you can create using this archetype, using your properties. Means you can have all these projects for this and for this. So before we move on to demo, I'll show you that in detail. There are few issues first time you can have on your machine. First thing, if you are on Windows, right, especially on Windows, and you are using command prompt to create projects. So open that command prompt in administrative mode, right? If you just open that command prompt, you might get errors while creating this dispatcher module, right? Again, your M2 directory should have setting.xml, this one, setting.xml. It is not mandatory now because this profile has been added in your project itself, but still sometime you will see an error if you don't have this in your M2 repository. What is M2 repository? I'll show you. If you are running a machine, right, if you are running your office machine, office laptop, so please make sure your requests are not blocked. Means whenever you start creating project, this Maven project download many dependencies from either Maven repository or Adobe repository. So you will get a lot of jars downloaded on your local machine. So please make sure your firewall is not blocking your downloads. In that case also you can get some errors. Okay, now let me show you a very simple command, Maven command, to create AEM project. So if you see here, I'm saying Maven, MVN, which say, okay, execute Maven, -b, and these three or these four are defining what is the Maven archetype. So -b, as I already explained, this is if you say, it will create your command straight away in batch. -d is used to say these are the system properties, means these properties are used for this Maven archetype. So this say archetype is equal to 40. That means this property is used for this archetype and this is the value. So these are the minimum properties. Okay, I'm adding this aemVersion 6.5.5. So it will create a project for standalone, and I'm saying single country is equal to no, because I want to show you a multi-country website which has live copies and language copies. Don't worry about if you don't understand these words. There are already tutorial available over this channel. You can check those later. Okay, so this is specific for terminal. I use Mac and terminal. If you are on Windows, you can write all these in one line and remove these backward slash. I'll give you a running command in description. Okay, now let me show you here. Before that, what is M2 and what is Maven? So for what you have to check, go to your terminal or command prompt as per your machine. Once you open your terminal or command prompt or any other tool like git bash or something, type mvn-v. Right. Once you execute this, you must see this, your Maven version, your Java version, and you will see this home, Maven home. These properties should be defined, means you should have installed Java, you should have installed Maven, and your Java path should have been set. So you must see this information on your command prompt or terminal. Once you have this, now you can create your project. Again, I'm saying if you are on Windows, open your command prompt in administrative mode. One more thing you understand about Maven. I'm not explaining Maven in detail about Maven, but you must know few things. So whenever you execute any Maven command, Maven create a repository or directory called .m2 on your local machine, and it installed all the dependencies in that directory so that it can refer locally. So where it is, it creates in your users directory, or if you are an admin, so it will create basically in admin or users directory based on your permissions on your machine. So what I'll show you, let me show the hidden directories. This directory might be hidden, so just show your hidden folder. So if you go, this is my home directory, and if you come here M2, this first time when you execute any Maven command after installation, this directory won't be available over your machine. So inside this directory, it will create a directory called repository, and inside it keep all your dependencies. What is dependency? We'll see that in detail in coming tutorial. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I will make my system as new as yours. So I will remove this. Okay, move to bin. So I have removed this directory. Now I have installed Maven. Whenever I execute first command, it will download all the necessary dependencies, and it will take some time, but next time it will refer your dependencies from here. So next time it will build very quickly. Okay, now let me come back to my folder, and I will create a demo project here inside this folder. So let me open terminal, and I will copy this command. Okay, so because I am saying -b mean batches, so it will not ask any information, means it will not execute in interactive way. It will create project using these properties, or what the property I did not define, it will take default values of it. And let me hit that. You see that lot of this is download. You will see this download options, right? So it will downloading whatever the dependencies needed to create this project. And if I go back in my user directory, I should see a M2 directory created. See, project has been created, and whatever the dependencies needed to create this project, those has been downloaded. So let's come back and see in my directory. Come here, and you see this M2 has been created again, and you will see a repository, which is a folder, and it contains few. If you see, these are actually the complete path. You will see a lot of folders inside it, nested folders, and it contains those jars, actually OSGI bundles or jars, to create whatever I asked this Maven commands to do. Right now, if you see, it is successful, and if I go to that folder, I should see a project has been created. And let me go back again and see this code book. This has been created. So you see, this project has been created. Now let's talk about these folders or these we used to call it modules. This is a multi-module project, so these are sub-modules. Okay, so let's talk about these at a high level. So let me hide my hidden folders. Okay, now what do you mean by all? We'll talk about this later. Core, whatever the Java code, whatever the backend code you will be writing in this folder or in this module. Dispatcher configuration, you will be writing some configurations. In case of you are using this project in cloud, you have to create a cloud specific project, but let's say at a high level. So you will be keeping these cloud configurations here inside this folder. IT test, it's integration test. We'll talk about these later in coming tutorials, but this contains some integration test while build. UI apps, this is very important module. So you will keep all your components, means Sitely, your client library, your workflows, whatever you have, you will keep inside this apps folder. So you inside apps, you will have, when you install this in your AEM, you will see your project specific information, project specific folder under apps. I'll show you that once we deploy this. UI apps structure. This module defines the structure of your project. Structure in what context? So basically you have some roots, means where you will be adding that information. So this define, if you open this POM, we'll talk about that, you will understand in coming tutorials, right? So it will define where you can add your code. So as per this project, you can add these define filters, you can add under apps. This may basically whatever you add under this, if you try to add which is not included in this filters list, you will get error while build time itself, right? So if you want to have new path added, you can first define that filter here and then you can add further thing. Let's say if you want to define something etc, you won't be able because that is not enabled here. Or if you want to define some other path which is not defined here, you have to first define here, then you can write something whatever you want to write in that folder. Okay, this UI config, this contains your OSGI configurations. Whatever the OSGI configuration you have to keep inside this sub module. So now this UI content, this sub module content, if you want to deploy any pages, any assets to AEM while build, so you will be defining here. And if there is any context aware configuration or any cloud configuration, basically whatever goes under /conf, that you will be defining here. If you see here /conf, so whatever, whether it's a cloud configurations, context aware configurations, any workflow related stuff which goes under conf, you will be defining in this sub module. UI front-end, this is very important for your front-end work, means JavaScript and CSS. Basically what happened, you write, your front-end developers write all your code here. After build, a client libs has been created and moved to this apps. And while build, those client libraries move to AEM, not straight away that's JavaScript and CSS files. We'll have a separate tutorial to understand this UI.frontend module. This is really important module. And now the UI.text. If you want to write some UI test, you will be writing here. This UI test and this IT test, we'll talk about these modules later in detail in coming tutorials. So now you know the modules. Now let's say how you can build this project. I'm talking about only build. So first go inside this geeksdemo. So what I'll do, go to geeksdemo, right? I'm in this folder now. Now whenever you want to run anything related to Maven, so first you have to say Maven, okay, Maven, and then execute my goals. What are AEM goals? These are specific to Maven. So we use 2-3 specific goals to build and deploy this AEM Maven project. So what I'll say, ambient clean. Clean is a goal basically which clean your project, and this is specific for Maven, okay? And say install. So now I'm saying the two goals. I'm saying Maven execute clean first and then execute install. Install doesn't mean it will install in your AEM, it will build your code. So what happened if I hit now it should start building my project, and you will see a lot of dependencies start downloading it. Next time when you execute this, these dependencies won't be downloaded again, because these will be in my M2 directory locally. So it will refer from there. So you will see here the code has been built. First time it may take a time, because it will download many dependencies if you are doing this exercise at the first time and you don't have Maven installed earlier. It will take a lot of, and next time it will be bit quick. Now the code only built at your local. It did not deploy to your AEM. So how you can deploy? So first thing, you have some profiles. I'll talk about those specifically in coming tutorials, but at a high level, let me tell you. So you have profiles. When you run that profile, those profile install this code in your local AEM based on the configuration. So I did not explain, if you come back in this project, I did not explain this all. So basically this module does what? It will club all the code and packages together and deploy to AEM as a single package. But it will deploy if you ask to do so. You can deploy individually as well, and you can deploy in a single package. This is based on what profile you execute. We'll talk about these profiles and all, okay, in coming tutorial. So the purpose of this all, it has nothing else. It will just club all the packages and code together and deploy as a single package to AEM. This is just for information if you get a question about this all module. Now let's say at a high level how you can deploy. This is a separate, entirely a different tutorial or different topic. I'll talk about that later, but for now let's understand how you can deploy at a high level. So if you go to the project, this Maven multi-module project, you have one parent POM, and then each module has its own POM. So if you go to the parent POM, this is pom.xml is called POM. If you open this, right, at a high level, what you will find a profiles here. You will see, let me expand this. Okay, you will find few profiles. Each profile has different purpose. So for now, let's understand this. So you will find few profiles called this profile auto install package. So if you go here and check, this will install this code or this project to your locally running AEM on port 4502. How it is defining? You will see here, this is called target URL, and AEM host and AEM port is the properties. I'll talk about that in coming tutorial, but for now you understand this profile will deploy to AEM locally running on port 4502. There is one more profile you will see here, auto install package publish. This will install on your AEM locally running on 4503. Right, so these are the properties defined. You will say where these are defined. These are called properties. So if you come on top and if you see properties here, these are called properties, right? You can define your AEM specific configurations here. How it will work, right? So how you can do, come in your this terminal or command prompt and execute same command, mvn install, mvn clean install, and if you want to execute any specific profile, right? So how you can say that, hyphen capital P and then ID of that specific profile. So let's say I want to execute this this one auto install package. So what I'll do, let me take it here and here. You can by default say this profile will execute, right? But for now I want to specify this profile. So what happened when I execute this? First it will clean my, this goal say clean, it will clean my project. What do you mean by clean? We'll see that. Then it will say install, this will build, and this will execute this profile after that, and this profile deploy your code to AEM, and it will deploy not as a single package but multiple package. We'll see that difference, right? So what happened, my AEM is running on 4502 and you will see this is my AEM, right? And you won't see a geeksdemo site here. No, in the left side you won't see anything as of now. Once I deploy, I should see a new website called geeksdemo, right? Because my name is here, geeksdemo. And let me build this now. It will again start downloading few dependencies because it will execute dependencies whatever needed. So earlier it was needed only for build. Now it needs some more dependencies, but further next time it will not download these. Okay, you will see it's completed now. So if I refresh this, right, I should see one more website deployed. Let me refresh this. And you will see here geeksdemo, this has been deployed. So what is here? Here we have pages, and these are pages. From where these are coming? These are coming from this content UI content module. Now let's see what deployed where. So your jar or OSGI bundle should be installed in your system console. Ideally in actual environment you won't be able to see this system consoles, means your QA stage or prod you won't be able to see, but for your local you can see that. So if you see the last bundle 641 is called geeksdemo. So this bundle has been installed. Now what other variations you can see here? This is version, this is category. Status should be active. Status you might see here. Let me stop this. So you might see status resolved. If status is resolved, this bundle won't be available to execute, means these classes won't be available. Ideally it should have active state. If you open this, let's just open this, all the dependencies should be resolved, means you don't see anything in red here, right? If it is in red, if you see anything inside this red, you won't see this bundle active, you only see resolved. Okay, so you must see these things. Now this is my Java OSGI. Where are my apps installed? So go to crxd. Okay, there is a console inside AEM, right? Inside, I have already explained this console in previous tutorial as part of beginner series. So you will see in apps, you will see the name of your recently created project, geeksdemo. Whatever the code you have, whatever the components you have, you will see those here. Here the client libs and the components and other stuff, OSGI configuration. These configurations are coming from these modules, UI config modules. You will see other packages with this. This geeksdemo contain your actual code. This will contain your other packages. If you open and see application and content, so you will see a install folder here. Here also you can see what are the jars you have in your project. You will see geeksdemo, and these are basically jar, and these are the zip, these are the packages, right? And if you see the content, you will see the packages. .zip is a package and .jar is a bundle, right? You will see the same bundle which I show you here inside here. Now the another important section is conf. If you see here, go to conf and you will find again a new folder specific to our project. This folder contains your context aware configuration, cloud configurations, and any other workflow related configuration or any other configuration other than the OSGI configurations, right? This is really important, right? This is also right now, and anything okay. Okay, this is all about the structure. You keep exploring it. Maybe I missed something. Now one more thing you need to understand, you must also install Node on your machine, right? Because for the front-end module, this front-end module, Node is needed, this module. So you must have installed Node on your machine as well. Otherwise, this module can fail. Now, when you follow these tutorials, please see the documentation here. I'm giving you a documentation from GitHub, which actually contain the information, whatever you need. So for this AEM Maven archetype, you will find all the detailed information here, and you can follow the latest information from this page. I hope you understood. If you have any question, add your comment. Thank you.